Good evening. Well, what a pleasure it is to be giving this talk and to be doing it here at NYU. You know, on my way down here this evening, I started thinking about my formative college years and the people I surrounded myself with at that time. For the students in the audience, this is not going to be very challenging, but for everybody else here and watching online, I want you to think about your college-aged friends circle. We tend to cluster music students with music students, dancers with dancers, computer scientists with computer scientists, perhaps the occasional crossover episode in a dining hall where a naughty, free-spirited physicist feels the need to sit with an inferior biologist and all their gross biological stuff. But for the most part, we stick to our protective bubbles. Dinner parties, we do it there too. That moment when someone invites you and you ask, who's going to be there? And we do this because we want to know that we're going to be surrounded by familiar, like-minded people. People who think the same as us. People who speak the same language, sometimes literally, but more often academically, professionally, and politically. We feel great comfort in surrounding ourselves by people who know what we know, who are on the same path we're on. This is not just a social instinct, it's a structural one. Our schools, our careers, our systems, they all celebrate us for going deep, not wide, for becoming experts but not explorers. We've siloed ourselves in every possible way, and now we have scientists who work with scientists over here, and economists with economists here. All our policy officers are in one camp. We have doctors in healthcare in another. Artists all huddled together in the darkest possible corner, crying into each other's arms. And we rarely look outside of our own ways of experiencing the world. And the problem with this is that when we only speak to people who think like us, who work like us, we miss the chance of being surprised. We miss the friction that creates great new ideas. And here's something that I know to be true. New ideas love friction. New ideas are extroverts. They want to mingle. They don't want to sit alone in a quiet corner with people who all studied the same thing. In recent years, I've had the pleasure of stepping outside of my silo, collaborating with people who are nothing like me, on paper at least. I've had the pleasure of working with scientists and policy officers, environmentalists, systems analysts, and a truly huge array of people from disparate disciplines. My work title, the thing most often given to me, is that of musician or artist. I'm oftentimes huddling in the corner with my colleagues. But I am a studied trumpet player, composer, and sound artist, and outside of my career as a performer and educator, I've had the pleasure of collaborating with a whole bunch of organizations and institutions around the world that don't typically host artists. You wouldn't think a degree in trumpet performance would land you a position at NYU Abu Dhabi's Center for Genomics and Systems Biology, but that's just one of the unexpected collaborations I've enjoyed. Now, at the Center for Genomics and Systems Biology, I worked with scientists to convert the genetic code of life into sound and visuals, looking at ways of converting repetitive elements into what you're seeing here. Together with scientists and biologists, we started thinking about what critical information we could store in sound, what we could understand in musical patterns, and new ways of experiencing biological data. Alongside a celebrated marine biologist at the university, we embarked on a soundscape study of coral reefs in the Arabian Gulf, listening to the underwater world during a time of climate crisis. Our marriage of skills allowed us to track diurnal patterns in acoustic signatures of reefs as a way of monitoring biodiversity. Alongside this project, I worked with other scientists and engineers at the university to convert high-density polyethylene ocean plastic into discs to play these soundscapes of reefs on turntables. It was a way of capturing the natural environment as it exists now and making commentary on our contribution to it. The sound of the ocean through the plastic that is choking it. In Europe, I've worked with the European government, the European Commission Directorate General for Environment and policy officers there, alongside scientists from the Joint Research Centre on work at the nexus of art, science and policy, combining our specialties for both research and to create work to reach out to the public. Here in the USA, I've partnered with visual artists and lighting designers and filmmakers and educational technologists, universities, research institutes, company making social emotional learning products for children, environmental NGOs. I'm currently working with UNICEF on a project and completing a museum installation. All this to say, when I was deep in my doctoral trumpet recitals, of which there were many, I couldn't have known where the instrument would take me. What it's done is given me a front row seat to shifts in interdisciplinary collaboration across academia, across private sectors and governments that I believe will become the standard moving forward, the standard for global inquiry. Because I think we're getting bored of having the same conversations with the same people all the time. Great new ideas are born from unpredictability. And the problems we face, the challenges we face, whether they be climate change, inequity, misinformation, you name them, they're complex. And we're not going to solve any of these complex problems with one way of thinking or one way of doing. We need teams with people who think differently, feel differently, see the world differently, and communicate differently. We need artists in the room with scientists. We need musicians with ecologists, coders with philosophers. We need people who don't think like us, who don't speak like us, but who are willing to collaborate and potentially stumble into unexpected solutions. Now, outside of the broad changes I see that are happening with interdisciplinary collaboration around the world, these experiences have taught me something else about myself that's very profound. What I have learned is that I am, and are you ready? I am the best in the world at being Sam Nestor. It's true, I've checked. I make the best Sam Nestor style music. I make the most Sam Nestor style sound installations. I cook the best Sam Nestor style food. It's terrible, but it's the most Sam Nestor style terrible. And this here in front of you tonight is indeed the most Sam Nestor style hair, at least for now. And that's not ego, except when it comes to the hair, that's a little bit of ego. But no, what it is really owning and leading with identity. Because I don't think it's enough to be a scientist or a musician or a baker. What matters, I think, is that we are the most actualized versions of ourselves, armed with the knowledge and skills of our discipline, but willing to apply them in unexpected ways. For most of my life, I have been motivated by my interests, and my passions, and concerned about those passions being curtailed by a job description. I wanted to follow my love and skills of music and sound to explore our human relationship with nature, with technology, and with each other. And I trusted that I would find a life of meaning if I followed those passions. Look, we all contain multitudes, and we're most alive when we share those multitudes with each other. I believe that the best ideas don't come from individuals, but they come from the spaces between them. People in a room together, collaborating, willing to listen to each other. So you should master your discipline. You should refine your skills. These things are really important. But I believe you should also nurture the weird, quirky, personal parts of yourself that don't fit neatly into a resume. I think it's a mistake to believe that expertise has to come at the cost of curiosity. Take Brian Eno, the English songwriter, musician, activist, visual artist. He wrote a diary that was published in 1996 under the title A Year with Swollen Appendices, and in it there is this great footnote that always stuck with me. he's introducing Stuart Brand, a man who was a biologist and a writer and a visual artist and an online pioneer, an army officer, among many other things. And when deciding what projects to pursue, Brand's global business network had 4 guiding questions. 1, will it be fun? 2, will we learn anything from it? 3, will it make the world a better place? And 4, will it make enough money to pay for the first 3? Now, 4, I'm still working on, but those first 3, that's how I try to live my life. I think it's an incredibly fertile time for artists and everyone, really. And not just because of all this talk of technology making things more accessible, but because everyone I run into, everywhere in the world, seems to tell me the same thing. And that's how terrible the world is. The natural world, the economy, the workforce. What a perfect time to throw it all away, stop chasing someone else's job description, and start living a life followed from your passions and your interests. If you are currently studying a discipline or you've already mastered one, I recommend speaking to people outside your silo. Perhaps say yes to a project that doesn't make sense yet. It doesn't have to make sense yet. You really only need to ask yourself 3 things. 1, will it be fun? 2, will I learn anything? And 3, could it make the world better? You never know who's going to change the way you see the world, and you never know how you're going to affect it with your unique perspective. That uniqueness, that individual creativity is really the only thing that's going to make a difference in your happiness and life. And if you are fulfilled, I'm confident you'll be more willing to be in rooms with people who think differently, more dinner parties where people think differently. It is my belief that our differences, when brought together and celebrated, have the potential to solve great problems and change the world in the way many of us want. Thank you.